Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Timist Podcast Series. My name is James, and I am the Timist and the host of the thing you're currently listening to. In this episode, Adam and I sit down with Stephane Vasset, CEO of Maurice Lacroix, and Andre Niklaus, brand ambassador, to talk about the major milestone the brand has achieved this year, specifically 50 years of Maurice Lacroix. As we go over the pivotal year that 2025 represents for the company, we also learn a bit more about the upcoming novelties we'll see during Watches and Wonders. We explore how the brand cultivates legacy and how they plan on celebrating their journey so far, but we also shine a light on the difficulties associated with creating watches in new materials such as titanium and ceramic. And if that wasn't enough, we also learn more about the planning, research and development, and product lead times associated with the Swiss watchmaking industry as a whole. All this and so much more. So sit back, relax, grab a drink and a snack as we get started. Thank you everyone for joining us. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce our guests. That's right, it's plural because we have a full house today. I am beyond happy to be joined by Adam Lincoln, who is no stranger to the podcast. If you don't know him, then I suggest you check out episode 2 of season 2 with all of his details. But while you do that, I'm going to also introduce 2 very special guests as well. Although they both hail from Switzerland, the motherland, they are well and truly international connoisseurs of timekeeping. Today, we are joined by Andre Niklaus, who is the brand ambassador for Maurice Lacroix. And right alongside him, we have Stephane Vasset, who is the managing director of Maurice Lacroix as well, aka the CEO. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you for being here. How are you this morning for Andre, this evening for Stephane?
Hi, gentlemen. Well, thanks for the invitation. Looking forward to have this nice watches conversation today about Maurice Lacroix.
Likewise. I got to spend some quality time with the icon during my tour of Italy. Thank you again for the loan. That was sort of a dream come true. It was pretty magnificent. But it dawned on me that the icon has become, for all intents and purposes, sort of the signature piece within the Maurice Lacroix catalog. The icon is sort of your icon, so to speak. Curious, because everyone's here, what inspired its design and how do you see it evolving in the future?
I mean, you nailed it with Icon because it has been named like that, but it's actually a redesign of the Calypso. And Calypso is a watch which we launched in 1990. It was the most successful watch we ever launched. We used to do more than hundreds of thousands of them from a period from 1990 to 2003. A typical inspiration from the 70s, 80s designs at that time. It had, if you go online, if you check a Calypso and you check it with the icon, you will see that it is the rebirth, and it has all the same features, meaning, you have like 6 claws on the bezel, you have flat sapphire glass, you have a screw crown already in the 90s on the Calypso, and also very versatile. You had quartz, you had mechanical, you had also in-house movements, you had also diver versions of the Calypso. So we've been very, very cautious on how we redesign this watch, and of course we started the redesigns in 2014, launched it in 2016 in quartz, and 2018 first time in mechanical. And for the relaunch of this piece, what we looked into, really kind of design codes we needed to give it in 2016. And it was right at the time where this kind of 70s Gerald Genta design was very popular, started to be popular and trendy. And this is why we sort of beefed up the Calypso and to have something that's very contemporary in terms of design and in terms of watch language.
It is very recognizable almost instantly, and it is very apropos of the name. So, job well done there.
James,
Do
you want to see your baby, or is it too soon?
Well, it's too late. There it is. Is that actually the exact watch
It's that new one, yeah.
I love it. Oh, well done. Yeah, it is a little too soon. Thanks for that, Andre. I appreciate that. I think it's worth mentioning at the very start of the conversation. This year marks Maurice Lacroix's half a century of existence, basically half a century of watchmaking, 50 years of building your heritage and legacy. Obviously, I have to ask, is there anything on the horizon that you could share with us that you have planned to unveil as a way to commemorate and celebrate this milestone anniversary? Whether it's, I don't know, in the next couple of weeks, months, or maybe, I don't know, watches and wonders?
So at Maurice Lacroix, we like to celebrate. So, the 50th anniversary will not be just one collection or one event, but basically the whole year will be a celebration. We're starting and kicking this off at Watches and Wonder. What we're looking into is we're bringing back, let's say, a few collections which will, mark what we've done best the last 50 years. And at the same time, it's also about, it's not only about saying, oh, how great we did in the past and patting our backs and saying, oh, and just, live on that. But it's also about the future. So we see the 50th anniversary kind of a briefing for the next 50 years. And so there will be, this year will be three very strong moments around three collections. The first one we'll launch, of course, at Watches and Wonder. It has a very interesting collection name. As you recognize with Icon, we did something interesting with this one coming in April, for April 1st. We'll have also here something very, very positioning and very recognizable for the brand. And then in May, June, we will also re-edit something for the ladies. And the second part of the year, there is where we go into what will the icon of the future be.
Interesting and exciting. Well, thank you for sharing. I think, like most of us that are watch nerds and in love with this hobby and industry, we're gonna eagerly look forward to Watches and Wonders, and of course, all the tasty, tasty little amuse bouches that you've given us.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's so tough for me because I'm bad at keeping secrets,
Hmm.
and I know what's coming, and I want to share so bad, but I have to wait. I have to be patient. But it's awesome. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Well,
How much more, Andre, you think we can give away?
Uh, that's up to you. You the boss. I can show you something though, like that already has been released that I have right next to me. That's basically the 42 version of yours, the one that you had.
of the skeleton, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
skeleton in blue.
And this one has a updated motif on, I mean, the skeletonization of the dial.
So yeah, the 42 just came out.
Congratulations, by the way, on that release.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I
Thank
saw
you.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was very well done and very eye-catching. Again, it is. What is there to say other than the icon is the icon? But even with that said, we are looking forward to any additional bits that are coming down the pipe leading up to April 1st. I'm curious, Adam, take it away. I've been talking
Yeah.
so much. Please.
One of the things that I really appreciate about the brand is you've had also a deep history and connection with sponsorships and specifically in athletics. And I just wondered if, with it being the 50th year, are there any plans? I know that North America has been a big focus recently, but just curious what the sponsorship landscape is looking like for you guys going forward.
I mean, going forward, we haven't changed anything because once something's working for you, you should keep it on. So basketball 3x3 is something we're continuing. But
Nice.
as this is the 50th, and it's not every year you're on your 50th, right? So for some brands, of course, it's not a big deal. For us, it's a huge achievement. So once again, I mean, we've really put the focus this year on celebrating this and celebrating this with our customers, with our partners. And by the way, I mean, we have very interesting motto or kind of topic concept here. It's called Legacy in Motion. So you will see a lot of things. I mean, we're also preparing a book for the 50th with stories from the last 50 years. Because one of the challenges, it's a beautiful brand with beautiful products, but not many people know the story of Maurice Lacroix. And I think for the 50th, we really thought, okay, let's bring all this together with, of course, these launches, which I've talked about before, which are important kind of milestones and kind of the briefing for the future. But besides that, we also have a very rich history, and it's not history about celebrating the past and taking the history for what it's been, but this is why this legacy emotion, because there's so much of things we've been doing the last 50 years, which we will continue doing in the future.
It's a bit of like where we've been and setting up of where we want to go.
Yeah. So it's a very pivotal year for us. I think in the history of Maurice Lacroix, this year will be really setting things in stone for the future, and it's very pivotal, coming where we are, but being very clear on where we're going.
I think one of the things that's really interesting is, some of the really large brands have whole departments that are dedicated to keeping track of the history of their organizations. What's the process look like for making sure that you protect and maintain the story, not only for the purpose of putting out a book that helps tell us that story, but how do you keep track of all the history, the comings and goings, the past CEOs, the directional paths that have changed over time? What's the process look like as an organization to maintain that culture and history?
Yeah, I mean, where we're lucky is, we're born in the 70s. So the last, let's say, the first 20, 25, 30 years, they were not digital years, but starting
Right.
2005, you have basically archives and digital files of everything you've done. Is it campaigns? Is it films? Is it interviews? You name it. So the last 20 years, they were quite easy. And the luck we have is the first 30 years, well, still a lot of people are around. So you got a kind of a living memory. And that is now the important thing about, for the products, not an issue, because products are still around. We have been putting very diligently all our products on the site for the last 50 years, but it's more about, the stories about what happened then, why did this happen, who did this. And here we're lucky that, from the founders up to today, everybody's still alive. So we're doing interviews, right? And this is, if we were a 150-year brand, we would only live from the archives, and that would be a pity. But we have the luck that we're not that such a old brand. So we're still young. We're 50, so it's not we're middle-aged.
That's right. Yeah, that is not old. But for a brand, I mean, that's a massive milestone. I mean, just really, really impressive that you're able to have this really fun year and be able to tell that story with us. Really happy for you. So Andre, what about North America? What's the big plans for North America? You've just expanded your team a little bit, right?
Yeah, so we added Marcia Mazzochi to the team. She's an awesome addition. She's the head of sales and marketing for North America. And she's from Switzerland as well, but she lives in the US, if I'm not wrong, since the 80s. She's based in Los Angeles. So yeah, she's definitely gonna help a lot, pushing the brand in the US and creating brand awareness, and just her network that she already brings with her is going to be awesome for us to have here in the US.
I'm glad to hear that the team is expanding. There's always a need for support, no matter how small or how big you get. There's always a feeling of we could do more if only, and then you fill in the blank. I want to steal the conversation a little bit if I can, and ask a bit about the Masterpiece collection, because we know that as a whole, it sort of showcases some of your most ambitious designs. Could you talk to us a little bit and maybe walk us through some of the creative processes behind those pieces, because they're unlike anything else that you have in your portfolio?
Yeah, so I mean, the essence or the reason to be for Masterpiece is really, we have a lot of competence in our factory, but once again, not many people know the story of Maurice Lacroix. And so Masterpiece has been existing actually since the start, but it was just called Les Mécaniques, the Mechanicals. And in 1992, we decided to, out of this it was kind of a melting pot of any kind of things we did in mechanical watches. You put just, you did something, oh, it's a mechanic. We then came on the name Masterpiece, really to show the excellence. And since then, we've been building up our competences. So at the start, we did some, watch complication, but we were basing these on base movements we were getting from the industry. And then, it went to the late 90s where we started to produce these own complications, to manufacture them, and then to assemble them in-house. And then in 2006, that's when we did our first entirely in-house developed and assembled manufactured movement. It was on the skeleton. It was on the chronograph, and then afterwards of course, the chronograph skeleton in manufacture. So in-house developed. And since then, for us was always a challenge because this non-awareness of what greatness and what competence, the best way to show it is to do something different. And this is basically the brief of how we started doing things like square wheel, gravity, which is a flying balance wheel, a mysterious second. And it's always about, we deliberately did not tap into the root of doing tourbillons, sonnerie, répétition minute, because these are exceptional things, but it's something very traditional. And we have the objective of bringing something new to the industry. So this is why everything we do and everything we will do special or different on Masterpiece will always try to go a step further, that people understand out there, we have the teams, we have the competence, and we have the know-how how to do these things.
Yeah, you understand after you've been doing any body of work for a certain amount of time that although the desire and the heart could be there and is present, you need to have the talent and the experience from people that have done this for a while to be able to realize sort of that vision. So when you have all those pieces come together, like an R&D division with talented individuals, the sky's the limit, right? So I appreciate and I understand that. I'm a bit of a material science nerd myself. Just ask Adam. He knows all about my obsession with titanium. Recently, Maurice Lacroix has been pushing the boundaries on this front, though. I know, watching the releases that you've been putting out. You recently introduced the full ceramic options to your lineup, and that must have been quite the challenge, I'm imagining. Could you talk to us a bit about the research journey and the development process that the R&D division had to go through? Maybe discuss some of the challenges that you needed to solve. And there it is, the white all ceramic piece right there. I'm just curious, because I think a lot of people don't quite understand the complexity of working with titanium or ceramic or really any other material, tantalum, for instance. There's a bunch of hurdles and questions that need to be answered before a piece could be introduced. So just anything you can share with us would be appreciated.
Absolutely. I mean, as you said, 2024 was us a year of materials because, we started with PVDs, but then we did bronze, then titanium, and to finish it off, ceramic. So, these developments, it takes you, we worked 2 to 3 years on the titanium, same thing for ceramic. On the ceramic, the finishing, if you take the ceramic white, it's polished, but if you would polish the ceramic black, it would look like plastic, and you don't want to do a watch that looks like plastic, right? If you're going to pay $3,000 for a watch, it has to look like not a plastic watch for sure. So there starts already your first challenge in terms of the finishings. Is it polished? Is it brush surface? How does it look like? How does it come out? And in terms of ceramic, it's also in terms of because ceramic is an alloy. It's not only ceramic. It has different components. It's a mix of different materials. So you already have to find the right type of material. Then the second challenge is about producing it, forming it. Are you forming it and then you need to laser cut it, or do you need to polish it? There's a lot of excellence, expertise you need to bring in terms of the production process of the material itself. And so you work basically by iteration. First, you need to find the right mix. Then you find the right mix. Then you have a look at how does it look like when you start to apply watchmaking techniques, which is polishings, brushings, whatever you can do in terms of finishing. And on the black, we had a lot of issues midway in the process. It was cracking, because also in terms of ceramic, if you look at the ceramic, how it's assembled, the bracelet, there's no pins, but it's screws. Because as soon as ceramic is very hard as a material, but if it's under pressure, it cracks, right? Then the other challenge we had is because we wanted to have it on icon. If you look at the bezel, if you take a standard steel icon, the claws are screwed in. But on the ceramic, if you screw it from beneath, that's what I'm telling you. If you put tension, it snaps, it cracks, right? So the bezel on the ceramic is a monoblock, for example. So that is also something you develop. And also challenging was, actually the shape of the icon is not a good shape to produce in a ceramic watch. So in terms of design, in terms of kind of where do you put the material, how much, where is it too thin or where is it too thick? Where does it crack or snap? I mean, there's a lot of consideration here. And then on the white one was also quite of a challenge, because when you do ceramic white, it's the first ones we did was kind of, the white was more kind of yellowish. So it looked very cheap and dirty, if you want. So we had 2-3 iterations to get it as pure as possible. But then we're there. We managed it. We did the very pure white. And then if you look at the dial, well, you want your dial to have the same tonality than your watch. But you see there's an anti-reflective on the dial. And then the first ones we had is, so you had a very pure white strap and case, and you had a very pure white dial, but it looked yellow because of the anti-reflective. So then what you do is we had to develop a new, with the sapphire producer, we had to develop a new anti-reflective coating that is neutral and doesn't go into the kind of yellowish brownish. I mean, there's so many efforts you put in those watches, which you don't, as a final customer, you don't see it. You don't see it. You don't. Well, you see that there's screws in the bracelet, but you don't understand why, because it snaps. Same thing as, how do you get such a perfect white watch? This is also a challenge.
I love that so much. I relate that to the very simple and pure idea of like, hey, what would be cool is if we took the icon and made it out of ceramic. And you're like, yeah, that's a very cool idea. Let's do it. And then on that journey, you realize and understand that because of the material, whatever was already in place it's not a copy paste situation. It's not as simple as, putting it in a Xerox machine and just making it again in a different material. I relate it to the car world a little bit because I'm also a car nut, but it's like we want more power. Yes. Okay. So we put in a bigger engine. Well, a bigger engine is heavier. So we need to brace it better in the car, and also pedestrian safety and security. So we have to make the bumpers a little bit different, and that also adds weight. But also because it's a new car, we want to make sure that it's more luxurious. So we want to add more sound dampening, which means thicker windows and different seals on the car. Well, it's got more mass, more weight. So now we have to put bigger brakes on it so you can actually stop the car. And all in all, it's sort of like a domino effect. Things you can't just tweak one area or one section of the recipe. It kind of goes hand in hand. There's a domino effect, a harmony that has to take place. So it's fascinating because at first blush, you look at it and you go, cool, they made it out of ceramic. It's the same like the stainless steel one, but in ceramic. But if you lift the veil a little bit and you dig a little bit deeper, you understand that it's a whole journey of problem solving and finding solutions to things that weren't there before simply because it's now made out of a different material.
I feel like a flight attendant showing, the stuff while Stephane is talking. But I was being told, from the first conversation till like the release last December, it took us like 3 years almost, right, Stephane?
Yeah, it's 3 years of development, and it's been quite a challenge. I mean, as James, you said, it's like, oh, let's do it in ceramic, but the journey is much longer. It's more complex than just doing a copy paste.
And I was being told I can drop it from 3 meters, which is for you guys, 10 feet, 11 feet. I didn't dare to do it yet, but apparently I can drop it and it doesn't crack. So if Stephane gives me the go, I can do it.
Yeah, you can go. Throw it.
I don't want to. No, let's not have a visual record of that. I believe you, so it's okay.
Yeah,
but that's also part of the journey, because when you develop such things, then you have also a technical team that has to do all the specs and all the development, and testing is also part of the specs. So that's when you define, you say, okay, we're going to have this watch, but it has to resist, it's like, I think it's a 5 kilo mass from 1 meter, which simulates a test of that. Same thing with water resistance, same things with coloration, You could imagine, with sun rays or kind of sun deformation, it can also turn different colors. So, I mean, these are all specs we have, and being a Swiss watchmaker, having, quality criteria, these are also part of things which run in the background, which you have no clue, but it's part of the quality promise we give to that customer.
I love that so much. And I love the idea that, you started out with the bracelet, maybe the case, and you go, okay, we finally figured out the color solution. It is the shade of white that we want it to be. Excellent. Make the dial the same color. Okay, we did. Now put the crystal on. Uh-oh. Actually, it doesn't look the same. So having to find a solution, it rings so true, because in all of our professional fields, we all kind of encounter these sort of scenarios. And thank you for sharing and being so candid and transparent with the journey, because I think, again, a lot of people just assume that it is a copy paste and it's not a big deal, but most folks don't understand the product lifecycle journey that is creating really anything. It's not like halfway through last year, you're like, we should introduce a ceramic watch, and then you just did a couple weeks later or a couple months later. It is a multi-year journey. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for providing more of that insight. It's appreciated, and I think it lets our viewers and our listeners understand a bit more of what watchmaking, or at least part of what watchmaking is all about.
With there being a oftentimes 2 to 3 year lead time and sensitivities in the market, what as a CEO are some of the things that are on your mind on a daily basis to try and be ready for the ability to pivot when things in the market dictate what might work or what might not work, given that you have 2 or 3 years of R&D and a lot of dedication, blood, sweat, and tears going into a product? How do you try and be ready for that?
I mean, the most important things is to learn and listen from your customers, and also learn and listen from your teams. People like Andre on the field are really crucial to the brand, because they are the eyes and the ears, and they see what's happening. And in terms of trends, watch industry, watchmaking is quite slow. So if you've got good listening capabilities, you pick them up quite fast, and then you have time to develop. And that's crucial. When we develop watches, we have product teams, product committees, and for example, we will meet, all the teams or our customers will meet before Watches and Wonder, and we are presenting already the 2026 launches. So you see, you need to have kind of 2 years, 1.5 years, 2 years advance. And it's a very iterative process where at the beginning, per year, maybe you have 100 ideas from suppliers, ideas from customers, ideas from the sales team, but also ideas from the product development, where they also think, in terms of brand, we should go there and there, kind of, if we're going to evolve the icon, it has to be in that direction. And then it's a process over the year where you refine the plans, You also check, in terms of what's running, what's not running. And you need to, what is interesting with the watch business is you need to innovate. Otherwise, you will be perceived as, sleeping or not being an innovative brand. But if you innovate too much, people will only look at your launches and basically the watches that you launched a few years ago in your portfolio, your best sellers. If you put only the focus on novelties, you will lose the focus on your best sellers. So you have to find a fine balance on how to, bring momentum, but also show to the people, this watch that you've seen 10 years ago in the catalog and that is yours. We still have this bestseller in our collection, and it's still very, very popular. Otherwise, you have this problem that you bought a watch 2 years after it's out of the catalog, you lost the value of your watch because it's not available anymore, right? And that's at the end. This is what we're doing. We are creating value for our customers.
I love just how passionate you guys both are when you talk about watches. Andre and I have had the opportunity to sit down in person and kind of hear his story as well. I wonder what's a day in the life for you like, Andre? You've got a young family, but you're helping grow the brand. What's it like to be in your shoes?
It's super awesome. Not to brag, but I love it. Like it's so awesome. I live in the US since 2018. I was based in Vegas first. Now I'm in Atlanta, but I'm traveling so much and I'm seeing places that I never would go on my own, right? Like, so the brand brings me there because either there's a retailer that I want to grow with, or there's like a watch society or watch club. Like what's today, Monday? Yeah. So last week I was in Des Moines for the first time in my life. Super awesome city. And it's just fun because, like people, they're excited to see you. It's always fun conversations, and you learn so much about retailers, about collectors, about people in general, or even people that don't even care about watches. Like once you start telling them, they're like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense. I never saw a watch like that," right? And it's just awesome. It's fun. It's good connections, and I wouldn't trade it.
That's awesome. You always have to strike the right balance, though, because if you get too excited with non-watch people, then they go, "Oh, calm down. It's just a watch." You're like, "No, it's more than that. You don't understand."
For sure. No, but I'm definitely doing a lot of miles. Like I'm flying at least every other week, or I'm on the road. I think last year I didn't check yet, but I think I'm about 100,000 miles last year, traveling, from east to west and Midwest and South. So not the best footprint, but I make sure, that I'm still don't do on trips that are not necessary, so I can, when I'm on the road, I'm trying to like make sense of it geographically, but it's definitely a lot of miles.
Well, unfortunately,
it's so big. No, I was talking to my counterpart in Switzerland, and he was telling me, "Oh, I was on the road for 4 hours, and that's from west to the east." So he went through the whole country in 4 hours. I'm still in the same state if I do that, So yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to convince Stephane to just require you to come and visit us here in Washington State and Seattle. I mean, I feel like the presence of Maurice Lacroix needs to be felt here, and we'll have to see. Yes,
for sure. No, I definitely would be excited to come see you guys in Seattle. Like last time I was in LA, and then I jumped and I went up to Vancouver. But I was flying. So I would next time I have to drive, and then I just stop over in Seattle.
That'd be great.
We would love that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and then there's I think there's new watch shows that seem to be coming out all the time. I know Toronto last year had a new watch show, and Vancouver's having one this year. So it'd be great to have the opportunity to have the brand at some of those events too, because it's such a great exposure. You got all the enthusiasts and the people that are just interested in watches in general showing up for those. I think Kansas City just had one as well. DC has one coming up. So lots of cool opportunities. Although I also understand it means capital outlay for the brand too. So you have to sort of pick and choose your where to place the brand. But at least there's a lot of opportunities in the US, and it seems like the market seems to be growing, or in North America in general.
Definitely, and that's definitely one of the goals too for that anniversary. To be on the road and be able to connect with watch clubs or events. We definitely putting a plan together, and it's going to be even more travel, but it's gonna be awesome. Definitely the second half of the year, we want to do as many, shows as we can.
That actually ties in really nicely to the next question that I wanted to ask, because Maurice Lacroix feels like a brand that has actively engaged with younger collectors through accessible luxury. How do you appeal to first time buyers while still sort of catering to the serious collectors that have a problem, like us that love watches so much?
This whole kind of refocus started with the icon, because when we did the icon, before we were kind of, as all other watch brands, we're thinking, okay, it's a $4,000, $5,000 watch. So who can put that much money in a Swiss watch? So we were thinking, okay, it's 50 plus and so on. And when we did the icon, we did a lot of market research, and then came up, it's like, hey guys, actually your watch, your icon, it's a really high quality product. It's got a lot of heritage. It's in terms of craftsmanship, it's got the Swiss watchmaking touch. Also in terms of design, it's something fresh. It's something a bit more contemporary. And basically, you don't know yet, but we have a lot of interest of 20, 25 and plus. And we were like, okay, who are these guys? And in 2016, these were millennials, right? And also over the years, millennials have now grown older, but also the Gen Zs, we know from market research, they have also high interest in looking at what Maurice Lacroix is doing. So from that standpoint, what we did is we changed our whole positioning, but we also changed our whole communication strategy. So starting that point, it was a lot digital. Also, our kind of sponsorship platforms. We go into urban sports, urban activities. Why? Because the city is really kind of the hot spot for the millennials, right? And this kind of repositioning has dictated everything we do today about the brand. And this is back to your question: how do we do it? So yeah, it's about all the promotion, activation. We have online, social media. But also in the kind of type of events we would support, also Andre is saying, for the 50th anniversary, we want to celebrate our birthday with our friends, right? We got also these kind of friends of the brand. So we don't sponsor, or we don't have brand ambassadors. Well, we have brand ambassador, but he's a sales guy. It's Andre. But, we don't have these kind of multi-million-dollar sponsorships that everybody know, that person for doing that receives about 2-3 million. No, people who work with us are highly talented people, also people becoming in the know, and it's really friends. It's really people. They come to our events. They're approachable. They don't do it for the money. They do it because they like what we do, and they're really interested. And what we do, when we tend to do with these people, we do projects together. We have fun together. And I think this is very authentic. And being authentic is also something today with social media, there's so much fake. Authenticity is the most important quality you need to have if you want to do communication to these younger generations.
I couldn't agree more. Andre and I happened to meet each other through social media, and it was happenstance. We were in the same city, both traveling for our jobs at that time. And the fact that he went out of his way to hang out with myself and friends, and we took in a baseball game. I mean, it was a great experience with somebody I'd just talked to briefly online. And I think you nailed it on the head, Stephane, that it was the authenticity. And obviously from there we've grown to he let me borrow the watch that was literally on his wrist. I mean, it's just right there. I just, it's something about that. You're right. The authenticity and as a millennial and older millennial, it meant a lot. And obviously we've stayed in touch and we're able to work on putting together something like this interview today. So I think you're definitely heading in the right direction there. And that connection to people means so much, because there's a lot of noise in the industry. So to be able to break through that noise and create that bond with people means a lot.
Yeah. And I think today, it's also important today, the younger generations, they want to be part of it. They want also to, kind of if they can participate to product development, if they can participate to events or customize things and give their input and be listened and be part of a journey of a watch brand. This has today much more value than kind of, having kind of the biggest advertising campaign and trying to push something in your face, which at the end you don't even buy into because the values don't fit you, right? So I think it's a new, it's also younger generation. It's also a new way of how trends go, how communication goes. And we're not the 90s or the 2000s where you've been dictated, what products you have to buy.
You say that, but very often you see brands that are just shoving things into your face. I think all of us, spanning multiple generations, are so tired of being sold to. We have spam folders in our inboxes. That in and of itself is proof that everyone is constantly being bombarded with, buy this, do that. To understand that a brand is bringing people along for the journey, and you have, as you described, friends of the brand, makes people feel like they're part of that experience, like they belong to a group of people with shared interests and passions and hobbies. And I think that's truly at our core what we yearn for. We want to be a part of something. We want to be present. We don't want to be just a seller buyer relationship. We want to be present for that experience, to be asked questions, to have the opportunity to lend a thought or an idea, to share our opinions, and then hopefully some of them will be actually acted upon. And it sounds like you do, as a company, listen to the consumer, which is, in my experience, a lot easier said than done. And many brands say that they do that, but in reality, it's just sort of lip service. It sounds cool. It sounds like a nice marketing term. Hey, we listen to our fans, our collectors, our customers, but to actually employ that and truly live by it is a different story. So I think it's testament to your relationship and how you see the wider community. They're not just consumers. They are friends. And I think that makes all the difference. So I commend you and respect. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah. Talk about fans. I don't know if you're aware, but it's more kind of a typical Asian phenomenon, but we have fan clubs in Japan, we have fan clubs in Thailand, we have fan clubs in Malaysia. There's also an international fan club on Facebook, and basically the last few years we have developed watches with these fan clubs. I mean, we don't manage these fan clubs because of the sake of credibility and authenticity. We're out of it. So, but there's always so this is why I'm saying it's very Asian, because there is, for example, Japanese can be very passionate about things they do. And we have in Japan, Koji, who is running the club for Japan, and he runs it on his own. The only agreement we have is we gave him a kind of a trademark or license agreement that he's allowed to talk about and animate the fan club. But he decides which watches he shows. He decides which events he does. And when he has a question, we're there. We can give him an answer. We show him plans of what we do, but he didn't ask us to do previews or we have this arrangement that when something comes new and there's kind of sneak previews, and they've done now 3 years in a row their fan club watch, and we have nothing to say about the watch. He basically gathers all his ideas and comes to us and said, listen, this year the fan club would like to do a watch like this, and that. And for us, it's very exciting because the proposals he brings always bring us a step further in the development. 3 years ago, we did an icon with a sunray dial, and it had a very beautiful kind of off-white strap. We then took that dial, and when we developed the whole new quartz range, so we revamped the quartz range after 6 years, it was this exactly same dial design that we integrated in the quartz watches. This year they came and they requested to do a manual wound movement. So we did a manual wound watch, which was for us very interesting because it's nothing you have in a collection, but shows you potential, and you can also reuse it. I mean, there's not one collaboration we had the last years that we didn't learn something out of it, and we didn't benefit out of it. Was it collaboration with companies? Was it a collaboration with ambassadors, kind of friends of the brand? There's always something you learn.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
The fact that it's not a strictly transactional relationship. It is a community, and that aspect I think is very appealing to many of us.
Yeah. Stephane, we might be looking at the president and vice president of the US club for Maurice Lacroix.
I like to hear that. I like to hear that. So
Maybe
you can prepare your briefings.
There you
You
go.
can prepare your product brief. We take.
love it. Adam, any more questions that you might have?
I mean, it's for me, it's beyond just the watches. I'm in my day job, I'm a CEO of an organization too, and I guess what's a typical week or a day in the life look like for you, Stephane? You've been with the company for a while. Where did you start, and then how did you get to the role you're in now, and what's it like for those of us that are not in the industry but have a curiosity of how an organization like yours runs?
Yeah, I mean, I started in 2008, so it's going to be my 17th year as international marketing director.
Okay.
And so interesting, 2008 was a very nice year because you were at the hype, the hippest moment of the Swiss watches, and then you had, of course, the subprime crisis, and it crashed. So I had the first crisis there to manage, and then I was given the brand the leadership in 2014, and 14 was also kind of a little challenging year in terms of the economy and kind of a little financial crisis. So it's been ups and downs the whole time, but it's been very enriching, and you learn a lot. And now, so I've been doing now 10 years. Of course, we also had the COVID years, but for us, COVID was quite a walk in the park, because what we had done before COVID was there. We were already, we wanted to be much more of a modern company. So people were already doing home office since 2017. And so when COVID arrived, instead of being 3 or 4 days a week at the factory, well, people were just the whole week home, but all the processes were already trained, product development, marketing campaigns, everything except production. So production, they did not do, they were not, there was a lockdown in terms of production was allowed to go in the factory and assemble the watches, but all the other processes and all the other skills were done from home, and it was not, for us, when COVID started, it wasn't kind of, okay, how we're going to organize ourselves. The question was more like, okay, so what are we producing next week, and what campaigns are we launching then, right? And then, now we are, and of course, this year, 2024 is also challenging. There's globally, there's some ups and downs, and but for us, we've been in that mode since I met Maurice Lacroix. It has never been smooth sailing, so you kind of get used to it, and that's how your operational work. So you need to be very agile, and this is something we cultivate in Maurice Lacroix: agility, creativity, entrepreneurship. And this is how you get your weeks around. So you asking me how does a typical week look like? There's not one typical week.
That's the answer. Yep. And roughly how many employees does Maurice Lacroix have?
So globally, we are 120, but in the factory in Switzerland, with production, all the central functions, we're about 60 people. And then, it's a bit split all over. So we have operations, of course, in the US, in Europe, Middle East. We have customers, but we have only distribution partners. And then in Asia, we have operations in Japan, in Malaysia, in Singapore, in Thailand, and Hong Kong. And then, of course, distribution partners. We're present you can buy Maurice Lacroix in 80 markets.
Wow.
And For us, it's about 40 customers because some regions, some markets are delivered by one organization or one customer.
Yeah, definitely keeps the workload exciting, and the ability to keep adapting has been great. Just seeing how the brand's expanded. That's really neat.
It's very
Thanks.
cool. And I like how there's multiple ways of approaching it. Two simple ways is every day is different. It's so hard. Or every day is different and it's really exciting because you have to come up with creative solutions. So, Andre, how about you? What does a typical day or week look like for you?
Yeah, as you guys mentioned, or Stephane mentioned, it's never the same. Like you obviously have your core business and the like your partners that you visit on a regular base. But sometimes, I don't know. I'm planning on being, let's say, in New York, but then I actually end up in LA. Depending on what's coming, on what's happening, and then with you have like plans of releases, and then they get pushed back or they come earlier, and then you have to adapt. So a typical day, obviously, is like I check in with my retailers. I answer all the questions that are coming up, and then I'm trying to be on the road as much as I can to get the product out there, so people can see it and actually have it in their hands. Because through the US we have about 60 retailers, so one or two per state. So depending where you live, your next possibility to see a Maurice Lacroix is 3 to 4 hour drive. So I want to be on the road. So people, like last week in Des Moines, for them it was the first time they had an opportunity to actually just touch it and feel it and see it, and they were like pleasantly surprised, obviously. And so that's like my typical kind of work, is just to be out there and carry my little collection of watches and be on the road. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. There's obviously, theory is one thing, but practice, hands-on, is a completely different experience. So we know, of brands that exist, but seeing the watches in the metal in the hands is well, there's no substitute for that. It makes all the difference. So you're doing great work. Thank you, Andre, for fighting the good fight and being on the road and just getting the watches into people's hands, and Stephane for obviously leading the ship and steering it in the direction that y'all want it to go in. I do want to ask you both individually, what is one thing about the brand that you think more people should know about? There's obviously the communication that goes out there that is echoed across the board as the brand, but maybe one thing that you just wish that everybody knew, maybe starting with you, Stephane.
For me, it's such a beautiful brand, and you guys have seen it. Once you have the product in your hand, you get a lot of product for the price you pay, and it's really this Maurice Lacroix story. There's so much to it's such a great story, but if we could just bring it to more people, that would be my wish.
Got it. Well, hopefully this will help. This podcast and this video, if anyone's watching.
Definitely. And thank you a lot for that. Thank you for your help.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. Andre?
Yeah, same. Like the core collection is obviously it's the automatic icons and all different variations in titanium, ceramic, or whatever. But when I pull out, for example, this guy here, it's one of the masterpieces, that we released last year around Watches and Wonders. When I tell people, hey, we are our own manufacturer, they're like, oh, what? And then we start talking about, the movements and all that. And then people are surprised, like the knowledge and that we have, and the watchmakers that we have that are best of the best, right? And you can get a watch like this for under $10,000, which is awesome because there's a lot of work in here, and it's. So I wish people would know that we are not just like entry level luxury or mid luxury, but we also have our own manufactured stuff.
Yeah, there is quite a big delta in between being a watch brand and being a watch brand that has, its own in-house watchmakers that actually produce a caliber that is end-to-end, top to bottom, full product life cycle built. Not many brands can say that. And there was a period of time, I think, where, let's say 3-4 years ago, it was sort of a buzz term, a marketing term, or not in and of itself, but it started to become that a little bit, to say in-house. But to its credit, it became that because of the importance and true sort of awe that it is to be able to say, we make our own movements. And for people that don't know, some brands, produce certain components of a watch. And the heart of the watch, the movement, is sourced off the shelf from, different manufacturers. So the engine of the watch is not necessarily made by them, or perhaps it is modified or, has certain components made by them, but not entirely. For a brand to be able to say that we make this watch end to end, top to bottom, everything that's on the outside and on the inside is very impressive and should be celebrated. So well said. Adam, any more questions for our guests today?
I just really have appreciated the conversation, guys. It's really fascinating to hear the passion, the way that the brand has expanded. I couldn't agree more that getting hands-on with the various pieces really matters a lot, for somebody like myself who just is trying to experience as many watches as possible. It was amazing to see the build quality. To learn more about the last 50 years of your organization has been really a pleasure, and just really thank you guys for taking the time to chat with us today. Very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for the chat. It was really nice to have your questions, and it was really a pleasure to share our passion with you guys. Thanks so much.
Gentlemen, you've done it. We've asked you a ton of questions. You survived a podcast episode with us. As a thank you, we'd like to offer you an opportunity to talk about something that you feel passionate about, or something you'd like to shine a light on. This could be quite literally anything from a local nonprofit to a great movie or even book recommendation that you just can't stop thinking about. The floor is yours. Let's start with you, Stephane. Anything for us?
Well, if I wasn't in my position, I wouldn't be thinking about watches the whole day. So for me, it's really about bringing this organization further, and we have really great people, and we couldn't do it without every one of us being part of the story. And I'm really saying it again, but these 50 years are a beautiful birthday for us, and it will be also my 50th, because I'm also born in 1975. So it's a nice little anecdote, but it will be also a beautiful year for me. So looks like exciting times ahead, as we say.
What exciting times indeed. Happy birthday from us. We wish you a happy birthday this year, early. But what a way to celebrate. I don't know how you pulled it off, how you managed to have your birthday be aligned with the Maurice Lacroix birthday, but kudos to you. Yeah, you must have some very incredible skills for that. Andre, how about you?
Yeah, I'm just, excited to, I'm 1 year with the brand. Now it's my second year. I'm just excited to see, what's happening this year and the following years and the growth. And I'm very excited for Watches and Wonders in April. If any of you guys is there, let me know, or let us know, because we always have a very cool hotel, the Maurice Lacroix Hotel.
Yeah.
Where we show, all the novelties that are coming and stuff. And then privately, I'm about to move again, it's like the fourth move in 5 years. So excited for that. It's obviously always stressful to move, but, excited. This time it's not that far. Last time from Vegas to Atlanta was like 3,000 miles. Now it's only 30 miles. I'm moving a little more north from where I am. So it's going to be exciting. And looking forward to what the year has to bring. Like my wife and I, we looked at each other on New Year's Eve and we're like, oh, what's our resolution? It's like, let's just take it easy this year. No change. Like, let's just relax. 3 weeks in, let's buy this house. So we're about to move again. But I just love it. I think I need the constant challenges and moves and stuff. So yeah.
Love it. Love to hear it. Yeah. It sounds like if you're not doing something that's challenging, you feel like you're not living, you're not doing your job, which can relate.
I think we can relate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good luck with them.
You're changing your job too, right?
Yeah, I work in local government, so I'm pivoting from one organization to another. Thankfully, I don't have to move. That's been typical for me. As anytime I change career paths, I have to a different job, I've had to move as well. So this is nice. I've got two young daughters, and my wife's in school right now to get another degree. So not moving is an absolute benefit.
Andre, thank you so much for sharing, and Stephane as well. Let me ask you,
real pleasure.
What's the best way for people to find you or your work in case they want to continue this conversation?
For me, it's very easy. I mean, if you you want to write me a line or react to something, my email address is on our website, and it's very easy. It's stephane.baser@mauricelacroix.com. If you don't know how to write my name, it's on the website.
Don't worry, I'm going to put it up on the screen so everybody can see.
Same, yeah. Check out our website, mauricelacroix.com or .ch or whatever ending you want to use. And you can find us on Instagram, like the private handles or the official handles. You can share if you want to, James.
I will.
Yeah, and feel free to reach out. Slide in my DMs. I always answer, and happy to connect.
You do. Very, very easy and very approachable. I can attest.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stephane, Andre. It's been an absolute pleasure to host you. Thank you for stepping away from your busy schedules and basically giving us some of your time. I hope that you enjoyed yourselves, maybe enough to want to come back in the future.
Definitely.
Anytime, it's a watch chat. I'm there.
Perfect.
Excellent. That is good news to hear. Adam, we have another episode in the books where you and I kind of get to talk watches with awesome people such as these gentlemen right here. I suppose if a little bit is good, then maybe more is better.
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. All right. Until next time, thank you, gentlemen, and we'll chat soon, yeah?
Definitely. Stay safe.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Great.
Thanks.
Stay in touch.
That concludes this episode of the Timist Podcast Series. A sincere thank you for hanging out with us. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, then please push all the buttons that will help you hear more of us in the future. If you'd like to continue the conversation, you can either drop a comment on the associated YouTube video or reach out to me on Instagram at TheTimistIG. Thanks for listening. I'm The Timist. Be well, and I'll catch you in the next one.